The chamber of the Galactic Council was vast, built to hold representatives from dozens of civilizations. Its tall pillars gleamed with crystal light, and its dome ceiling carried the swirling glow of stars. The council had stood for thousands of years, guiding order among the stars, and most believed no new species could surprise them anymore. Yet today the atmosphere was different. Delegates whispered in low voices, their tones uneasy. The reason was simple. A new species had entered interstellar space. They called themselves humans. From the earliest days of the council, new races had appeared and taken their place among the stars. Some had been proud, others humble, yet all eventually learned the balance of power. The great civilizations stood at the top, and the new ones always learned to follow. Most in the chamber assumed humanity would be no different. But the reports arriving from the frontier suggested something unusual. Counselor Rin, a tall figure from the crystalline world of Shira, lifted a glowing tablet before the assembly. His voice echoed across the chamber, calm but edged with warning. Esteemed counselors, the data is clear. This young race has already crossed the boundaries of their star system. In less than 100 years, they have gone from chemical rockets to engines that pierce the void. Their pace is unnatural. A wave of whispers answered him. The Velan representative, a slender being with silver skin, leaned forward. Unnatural progress is not rare among primitives. Ambition often drives them, yet ambition alone cannot challenge the order of the council. Tell us, what threat do they pose? Rin hesitated before speaking again. It is not only their speed of progress. It is their character. Scouts who observed them describe a species unwilling to yield. They endured planetary wars, disasters, famine, and yet they rose again each time. Their history is a record of persistence. A heavy silence settled. Persistence was a trait respected and feared. The elder races had seen many species rise, but few possessed a will strong enough to carry them beyond their homeworld so quickly. Counselor Moral of the Velan waved a hand. Then they are stubborn. That alone does not make them dangerous. At that, a new voice entered. It belonged to Counselor Trin of the Halen, a race known for their calm judgment. Perhaps. Yet the reports continue. They do not simply endure, they adapt. Every challenge becomes a lesson. Every defeat becomes the ground for a greater rise. And now they build fleets. The chamber stirred again. Fleets were not unusual. Many young species built defense ships once they reached space. But something in Trin's voice carried weight. Counselor Joran, representing the scaled worlds of the Draal, let out a deep breath. How many ships could they build at this stage? 10, 20? Hardly enough to concern the might of the council. Trin raised her hand, and the crystal displays above the chamber came alive. Images appeared, drawn from distant observers. Human ships, simple but sturdy, moved across dark space. They were not graceful, but they carried strength in their design. And then came the final image, larger and darker than the rest. A single vessel still under construction. Even in its incomplete state, it dwarfed its escorts. This, Trin said softly, is what they call a Titan-class warship. A vessel larger than any ever built by a young race. Some among us doubted. Yet here is the proof. Shock rippled through the chamber. The delegates murmured louder, their voices overlapping. A Titan-class warship was not the work of a new civilization. It was the work of a power that expected conflict and meant to survive it. Counselor Moral's silver eyes narrowed. Impossible. No emerging species could command the resources for such a vessel. But Rin shook his crystalline head, and yet they do. Humanity is not building for trade or diplomacy. They are preparing for the unknown. They are preparing for us. The words sank deep into the chamber. No one replied at once. For thousands of years, the elder races had guided the galaxy without challenge. Yet here was a species that had not even joined the council, and already it built ships to rival their fleets. The elder races had seen prideful newcomers before. They had seen arrogance collapse under the weight of galactic reality. But this was different. Humanity had no arrogance in their records. They had only determination. And that, the council knew, could be more dangerous than pride. Counselor Trin lowered her voice, but every delegate heard. We stand at the edge of change. Either we guide them carefully, or we face a storm that will not pass. The chamber fell into uneasy silence. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council felt something it had long forgotten. It felt uncertainty. Outside the chamber, the stars stretched wide and endless. Somewhere among them, humanity was building, striving, preparing. The storm was gathering, and the galaxy could already feel its first winds. The edge of neutral space was quiet, but the quiet carried weight. Here, far from the crowded routes of trade, stars burned alone and planets drifted cold. It was the kind of place the Council often used for careful meetings, away from the eyes of the galaxy. It was here the envoy fleet gathered. The envoy fleet was meant to represent peace, yet also authority. 20 ships floated in formation, their silver hulls polished, their banners glowing with the mark of the Galactic Council. Each ship carried weapons, though they were hidden beneath elegant plating. The Council always preferred subtle shows of strength. At the center of the formation was the flagship Seren Light, commanded by Envoy Captain Relin of the Veylan. Relin was calm by nature, and his people were known for their skill in diplomacy. Yet even he felt a tightness in his chest as he studied the reports. The humans were different from the usual new species. Their history spoke of endurance, their design spoke of preparation. Still, Relin told himself that every species bowed to the Council eventually. His second officer, a short being with amber skin, approached. "Captain, our sensors show movement on the far side of the sector. Something large is entering range." Relin leaned closer to the display. A faint energy signal pulsed, far stronger than the small human scouts they had expected. "Enlarge the image." The screen adjusted and the bridge crew froze. Out of the dark void, a shape emerged. At first it looked like a shadow, too large to belong to any young race. Then the details sharpened. Hull plating, black and angular, rows of weapon turrets set along its sides, engines glowing like blue suns. The human vessel was enormous, dwarfing even the Seren Light. Relin's voice was quiet but firm. "That cannot be real." Yet the readings confirmed it. The human ship was not only real, it was still accelerating toward them. Calm, steady, without any sign of fear, the envoy fleet shifted uneasily, their ships adjusting position like a flock unsettled by a predator. "This must be their Titan class," whispered the second officer. The name fit. The Titan moved with a presence that made the envoy ship seem fragile. Every ship in the fleet had been designed to impress, to remind newcomers of the Council's power. But against this vessel they looked like children's toys beside a mountain. Relin swallowed his unease and stood. "Open a channel. We will follow protocol. No matter their appearance, they must understand the Council comes in peace." The comms officer tapped the console, sending the signal. A moment later, the screen flickered and the human commander appeared. The image showed a man with steady eyes and a calm posture. His uniform was plain, without jewels or banners, but the quiet authority in his voice carried weight. "This is Commander Hale of the human vessel Titan. Identify yourselves." Relin spoke with practiced ease. "I am Envoy Captain Relin of the Galactic Council. We come to greet your people and to open dialogue between our civilizations." Hale studied him for a long moment. His gaze was steady, neither hostile nor submissive. "Your council has watched us, has it not?" Relin did not deny it. "It is our duty to observe all new civilizations that enter the stars. We guide and we protect." "Protect," Hale repeated softly. His expression did not change, yet his tone carried meaning. "We thank you for your interest. Humanity does not seek conflict, but we will stand ready for any challenge that comes." The bridge of the Seren Light was silent. The words were not aggressive, yet they were firm, spoken with conviction. Relin realized this commander was not trying to impress nor to threaten. He was simply stating truth. Relin tried again. "The Council values peace. We ask you to approach carefully to accept our guidance. It has been the way of the stars for ages." Hale's reply was simple. "Peace we accept. Guidance we respect. But our course will remain our own." The channel closed. For a moment the envoy fleet hung in silence, the Titan looming before them. It did not raise its weapons. It did not attempt to drive them away. Yet its very presence spoke louder than any declaration. Humanity had arrived, and they had come prepared. Relin felt a chill, though he did not let it show. He turned to his officers. "Send a full report to the Council. They must see what we have seen." As the Titan drifted closer, the envoy ships pulled back slightly, careful not to appear weak yet unwilling to provoke. It was clear that this first meeting would not be the usual ceremony of dominance. This was something different. This was a reminder that the galaxy had changed. Far above, stars continued to shine, unaware of the tension unfolding beneath them. In the quiet of neutral space, two paths had crossed for the first time. One belonged to the ancient council, proud and secure. The other belonged to humanity, young yet unyielding. And the balance between them had already begun to shift. The envoy fleet had seen large ships before. Some elder races built carriers the size of cities, vessels that could house thousands. Yet nothing prepared them for the Titan. The human warship glided into clear view, its shadow stretching across the envoy formation. Its design was unlike the elegant curves of council ships. The Titan was built for strength, not beauty. Its hull was thick and armored, marked with long scars of construction where massive plates had been welded together. Rows of weapon turrets lined its sides, each large enough to be the main gun of a normal warship. And its engines burned bright, steady and powerful, pushing forward with calm confidence. On the bridge of the Siren Light, Captain Raylan stood frozen as the Titan's scale became undeniable. His officers worked in silence, their movements tight and nervous. Even though the Titan had not raised weapons, its presence alone felt like a weapon. Second Officer Irene whispered, "It is enormous. Captain, their technology cannot match ours in refinement, but their size, their raw construction, how is it possible?" Raylan forced himself to keep his tone steady. "They build for survival. They expect the worst and prepare for it. This vessel is not for show. It is for war." The envoy ships adjusted formation, keeping distance from the Titan. Protocol demanded confidence, but instinct pushed them to caution. Every sensor reading confirmed the same truth. The human ship was not a bluff. It was real, and it was built to fight. Within the Titan, Commander Hale stood on his own bridge. His officers worked calmly, watching the envoy fleet with steady eyes. The Titan had only just completed its first trials, yet here it was, facing the ancient council itself. Hale knew the weight of this meeting. Humanity's place among the stars would be shaped not only by words, but by the presence of this ship. Hale spoke quietly to his crew. "Hold position. Do not raise weapons. Let them see us. Let them understand." Back on the Siren Light, Raylan received a new report. "Captain, long-range scans show the Titan's armor is layered in ways we have not seen. It carries reactors large enough to power 3 fleets. Their energy output is—" The officer hesitated. "It is terrifying," Raylan exhaled slowly. He remembered the words of Counselor Trin, warning that humanity did not simply build, they adapted. Now he saw the proof. This ship was a lesson carved into steel. It said that humanity had studied danger and decided to survive it at any cost. He opened a private channel to the council chamber. Holograms shimmered around him, showing the faces of the gathered delegates far away. Their expressions shifted the moment they saw the Titan on their displays. The chamber that had once whispered with doubt now fell into silent fear. Counselor Merrill's silver skin seemed to pale. How can this be the work of a new species? We never expected this." Counselor Rin's crystal form flickered with sharp light. "I warned you. Persistence has shaped them. Their history forged them for this moment. They do not bow," the counselors argued in hushed tones. Some called for caution, others whispered about containment. Yet none could look away from the Titan's image. Its sheer presence silenced their words. Raylan closed the channel and returned his gaze to the human ship. He wondered what kind of world could create a people who dreamed of such a vessel. Most young races reached for trade, for exploration, for alliances. Humanity had reached for survival. Then, without warning, the Titan's engines shifted and the ship moved closer. Slowly, calmly, it crossed the envoy line, positioning itself in plain sight. No weapons locked, no aggressive moves. Only presence. It was a gesture, and Raylan understood it clearly. Humanity was saying, "We are here. We are ready. We will not hide." Raylan felt both fear and respect. He turned to his officers. "Transmit a signal. Record everything. Let history remember this moment." On the Titan, Commander Hale stood with his hands behind his back, watching the envoy ships. He knew the council would debate, argue, and fear. That was expected. What mattered was the message delivered by the Titan's existence. Humanity was not begging for a seat at the table. Humanity was arriving as equals. The stars around them burned steady, bearing silent witness to this meeting. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council's power was not unquestioned. For the first time in ages, they looked upon a newcomer and felt the chill of uncertainty. The Titan had emerged, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The Titan floated in the dark like a fortress among stars. The envoy fleet held its careful line, their polished ships forming a circle that looked fragile beside the giant human vessel. No weapons had been fired, but the silence carried a heavy weight. Both sides knew that words would decide what happened next. On the bridge of the Saren Light, Captain Relin steadied his voice. "Open the channel again. They must speak. And we must listen." His officers nodded, though their hands moved with hesitation. The channel flickered to life, and once again, the image of Commander Hale filled the screen. His uniform was simple, without the grand symbols used by council leaders, but his calm posture gave him a presence that matched the Titan itself. His dark eyes studied Relin, and when he spoke, his voice was steady, measured, and clear. "This is Commander Hale of the human warship Titan. We have entered this region on a mission of exploration and defense. State your purpose." Relin inclined his head in the formal style of the council. "We are the envoy of the Galactic Council. Our duty is to greet new civilizations that enter the stars. We wish for understanding between our peoples." Hale did not smile, nor did he bow. He simply listened. His silence stretched long enough that the bridge crew shifted uneasily. Then he spoke again. "Your council has been watching us. We know this, and now you stand before us. Tell me, do you come as guides or as rulers?" Relin hesitated. The council always presented itself as guardians, but Hale's question was direct, leaving no space for the usual soft words. Relin chose his answer with care. "We come as guides. We maintain peace in the galaxy and offer wisdom to those who are new." Hale's eyes narrowed slightly, though his tone remained calm. "Peace is a noble goal, but we do not bend our course. Humanity has suffered too much on its own world to give up its right to choose. We will walk among the stars, but we will walk as ourselves." The words landed heavily on the envoy bridge. They were not arrogant. They were not a threat. They were a statement spoken with conviction. Relin felt his throat tighten. This was not the voice of a race asking for protection. It was the voice of a race declaring its independence. Back in the council chamber, the delegates watched through live relay. The Titan's image towered above them, and Hale's words echoed through the chamber. Some shifted uncomfortably. Others sat frozen. Councillor Morale broke the silence. "Do you hear it? They do not kneel. They do not seek entry as students. They come as equals." Councillor Rin's crystal form glowed with a sharp light. "It is exactly as I feared. They are not like others. Their strength is not only in steel but in spirit. They cannot be guided by gentle words alone." The chamber rippled with unease. To some, Hale's words sounded like defiance. To others, they sounded like honesty. But to all, they carried weight. Back on the Saren Light, Relin forced his tone to remain even. "Commander Hale, the Council values freedom as much as peace. We do not wish to bind your people, but the galaxy is vast and full of danger. Alone, no race can endure forever." Hale's eyes softened, though his voice remained strong. "We know the galaxy is dangerous. That is why we build ships like this one. Not to conquer, but to endure. Not to rule, but to survive. Humanity seeks allies, not masters. Friends, not rulers. If your council offers peace, we accept it. If you demand obedience, we refuse." The envoy crew sat silent. No one could mistake Hale's meaning. It was not a threat, yet it was unshakable. Humanity would not kneel no matter the power of the council. Relin nodded slowly. "Your words will be carried to the council chamber. They will decide what follows." Hale gave a single nod in return. "Then let them decide. But know this. We will stand." The channel closed, leaving the Titan's image alone on the screen. Relin exhaled, only now realizing how tightly he had been holding his breath. His crew looked at him, their faces pale. "They spoke with no anger," Irene whispered. "No arrogance. Only truth." "Captain, I believe them." Relin did not reply. He only stared at the Titan, its massive form steady in the dark. He felt a strange mix of fear and respect. For the first time in his long career, he wondered if the council's guidance would not be enough. Far away in the great chamber, the councillors argued in low voices. Fear grew among them. They had met a young race that did not fear them, a race that built giants and spoke with steady conviction. And in the stars, the Titan waited, silent but unyielding, carrying the voice of humanity to a galaxy that was beginning to understand. The chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. For centuries, it had been a place of calm discussion, where decisions were made with confidence. Today, however, silence pressed against the walls. The image of the Titan-class warship still glowed above them, its massive frame turning slowly in the dark of space. Every delegate felt the weight of it. Counselor Rin was the first to break the silence. His crystalline body shimmered with sharp light as his voice cut across the chamber. You have seen it. Humanity does not crawl among the stars. They stride forward. That ship is not a dream, not an empty threat. It is real, and it is terrifying. Counselor Morale of the Valen leaned forward, her silver skin reflecting the starlight above. Terrifying, yes, but we must not let fear control us. Remember who we are. The Council has faced proud newcomers before. None have endured without our guidance. Humanity will learn as the others did. Her words carried calm, but her eyes betrayed unease. Even she could not look at the Titan without feeling its presence pressing down. From the far side of the chamber, Counselor Trin of the Halen spoke. Her people were slow to judge, and when she spoke, others listened. This is not like before. Other races built fleets, yes, but they built them after joining us, after centuries of shared progress. Humanity built this alone. They faced war and hardship, and they answered by creating giants. Tell me, who among us has done such a thing without our help? The delegates murmured. The truth in Trin's words could not be denied. The Council had always been the guiding hand, shaping younger races, lifting them carefully. Humanity had refused that hand, and yet they had still risen. Counselor Joran of the Draal shifted uneasily, his scaled body gleaming dark green under the chamber lights. Perhaps we should not be so quick to fear. A single ship does not make them our equal. They cannot match the fleets of the elder races. Rin's crystal form flashed sharply. Do you not see? If they can build one, they can build more. What is one today will be many tomorrow. This Titan is not just a ship. It is a promise of what is coming. The words stirred the chamber. Some counselors argued that humanity must be contained before they grew too strong. Others insisted that force would only drive them to greater resistance. In the middle of the debate, the High Speaker of the Council, a tall figure of luminous energy, raised her hand. Silence fell at once. Her voice rang clear, neither harsh nor gentle. We must face truth. Humanity is young, yet they have built what even some of us would not dare. Their commander spoke with calm, not arrogance. He declared peace, yet he also declared independence. This is what unsettles us. They do not fear us. The chamber remained silent. Fear was not a word often spoken in that place, but every delegate felt it. For ages, the Council had been the center of power. Now, for the first time, they saw the shadow of change. Counselor Trin lowered her voice, though it carried across the hall. We have a choice. We can treat them as equals and seek peace. Or we can try to contain them and risk a conflict none of us truly desire. But do not mistake this. If war comes, humanity will not fall easily. Morale's silver eyes narrowed. Equals, they are still young. Can we accept a race so new as our peer? Rin answered with a sharp gleam. Can we afford not to? The chamber filled again with whispers, each delegate weighing the path ahead. Some still clung to pride, unwilling to see a young race as their equal. Others felt the chill of reality. The Titan was not only a ship. It was a symbol, a message carved in steel and fire. Far from the chamber on the Seren Light, Captain Relin prepared his final report. His words were simple but heavy. They do not kneel. They do not beg. They stand. He knew those words would echo across the Council, just as the Titan's shadow already echoed in every mind. The High Speaker finally rose, her form glowing brighter. We will not decide in haste, but mark this moment. The galaxy has changed. Humanity has shown us what they are. Whether we fear it or accept it, their voice is now among the stars. The delegates bowed their heads, some in respect, some in unease. For the first time in centuries, the Council did not feel eternal. They felt fragile. Above them, the Titan's image still turned in silence. Its presence was a warning, but also a promise. Humanity had spoken, and the Council could no longer ignore the storm that was coming. The Council chamber buzzed with tension, though no one spoke above a whisper. The image of the Titan-class warship dominated every projection screen, and the words of Commander Hale still echoed in every mind. We will not kneel. We will not yield. That simple declaration carried the weight of a young race unafraid to stand against the might of the Council. Counselor Rin, his crystalline form flashing sharply, addressed the chamber. We cannot ignore what we have seen. Humanity has shown strength, resolve, and wisdom beyond their years. Their Titan is proof. They will not submit and they will not falter. We must decide how to respond. Counselor Morale of the Velan leaned forward, silver skin gleaming under the light. Respond? What choice do we have? If we treat them as equals, we acknowledge their presence among the stars. If we attempt to constrain them, we risk conflict with a people unafraid of the consequences. The whispers grew louder. Delegates argued quietly, weighing history, tradition, and fear. For centuries, the Council had guided civilizations. They had always maintained order. Yet humanity refused to follow the path the Council offered. This was new. This was unknown. Counselor Trin's voice cut through the chamber. We face a simple truth. Either we accept humanity, or we force them into confrontation. Do not forget the Titan is only the first of their creations. They adapt, they endure, and they rise. Any attempt to control them may fail. Duran of the Draal shifted uneasily. His scales shimmered with muted green. Can we truly afford to accept them as equals? They are young. Their fleets are few compared to our combined forces, yet I cannot deny their will. It is unmatched. Perhaps that alone is enough to change the balance of power. The High Speaker raised her glowing hands to silence the chamber. Enough, the Council must choose carefully. This is not about pride. It is not about punishment. It is about the future. Humanity has spoken clearly. They seek partners, not rulers. Allies, not subjects. But they will not bow. That is the reality we must face. The chamber fell silent again. Each counselor reflected on the implications. To accept humanity as an equal was unprecedented. No species had ever entered the stars so young and declared its independence so openly. Yet to oppose them could lead to a war the Council had never imagined. Rin's voice was low but firm. We must consider our duty to the galaxy. Peace is our priority, yet strength is required to maintain it. Humanity has demonstrated both. They do not demand submission. They demand respect, and perhaps respect is what we owe them. Morale's silver eyes narrowed. Respect, yes, but respect comes with caution. We cannot ignore their potential. They may rise faster than we expect. Their determination is unlike any we have seen. If we are not careful, they may surpass us in ways we cannot predict. Trin's calm voice carried a quiet certainty. That is exactly why we must accept them. Fear will only breed resistance. Acceptance may guide them. Partnership may allow us to learn from them as much as they learn from us. They are a force of change. The question is whether we face it openly or deny it and invite conflict. The chamber was still. The counselors weighed their options, each understanding the magnitude of the decision. To deny humanity would be to force a confrontation with a species that refused to yield. To accept humanity was to acknowledge that the galaxy had changed forever. Finally, the High Speaker spoke again. Her voice carried authority, calm but resolute. The Council will vote. Humanity will be acknowledged. They will be offered membership and partnership, not guidance or dominion. Their place among the stars will be earned as it must be, but it will not be denied. Murmurs ran through the chamber. Some counselors nodded, accepting the decision. Others remained uneasy. They could not shake the image of the Titan, its immense size and calm presence, or the voice of Commander Hale, declaring humanity's independence without threat or anger. Outside, the envoy fleet waited. Captain Reelan transmitted the Council's decision to the Titan. The human ship remained silent, engines glowing softly, as though it already knew the outcome. Hale received the message and allowed himself a small nod. He turned to his officers. The Council has made their choice. Humanity will be acknowledged. This is only the beginning. We must remain vigilant, prepared, and steady. But for now, the galaxy has accepted us. On the Council side, the chamber exhaled collectively. The fear had not vanished entirely, but it was tempered by understanding. Humanity had arrived not as subjects but as equals. Their presence would shape decisions, challenge assumptions, and push the Council to adapt. And so the choice was made. The galaxy would change not by conflict but by acknowledgement. The young race of humans had spoken and the Council had listened. The Titan floated silently in space, a sentinel of a new era. Humanity's declaration had been heard and the Council's decision had confirmed it. Respect had been given, and with it came the understanding that the galaxy would never again see itself as it had before. For the first time, civilizations that had ruled for centuries felt the quiet certainty of change. The young humans had arrived, and their presence carried a force no council could deny. The stars stretched endlessly around the Titan-class warship as it drifted slowly away from the envoy fleet. Its engines glowed steadily, casting a soft blue light across its massive hull. Commander Hale stood on the bridge, watching the stars pass by, feeling the weight of the first encounter with the Galactic Council lift slightly. Humanity had been acknowledged, and yet the journey ahead remained uncertain. Behind him, the crew worked in quiet efficiency. Every officer understood the significance of the moment. They had not only survived their first meeting with the elder races, they had impressed them. They had shown that humanity would stand no matter the challenge. And the galaxy had taken notice. Captain Reelan of the Saren Light sent his final reports back to the Council. Every word, every detail was recorded for history. He had expected a routine encounter, a calm greeting of a young species. Instead, he had witnessed something unprecedented. The Titan was more than a ship. It was a statement, a testament to the strength, ingenuity, and determination of humanity. In the council chamber, delegates debated one last time. Their voices were quieter now, filled with cautious respect rather than fear. The decision to accept humanity as equals had been made, but the council knew this was only the beginning. A new force had emerged in the galaxy, and its presence would be felt for generations. Councillor Rin, his crystalline form shimmering faintly, addressed the assembly. We have seen a young race rise beyond expectation. They have endured hardships we cannot imagine and emerged stronger. The Titan is not a threat for conquest, but a promise of survival and determination. We cannot dismiss what we have witnessed. Councillor Morale of the Valon nodded slowly. Their presence will challenge us, yes, but it will also inspire us. Humanity does not bow to fear, and in that they remind us of what courage truly is. The High Speaker rose, her luminous form casting a gentle glow across the chamber. Let this be remembered. Humanity has arrived as a new member of the galaxy. They will walk among us not as subjects but as equals. Their Titan-class warship is a symbol, not of war but of resolve. We will watch, learn, and prepare, but we will also respect them. Far away on a small blue planet, humans were building, planning, and dreaming. They did not yet know the full measure of the Council's response, but they had already taken the first step into the galaxy. The Titan, massive and steadfast, would lead the way, showing the rest of the universe that humanity was to be taken seriously. Commander Hale looked out at the void. The Council knows we exist. They have seen our strength and our will. Now it is time to move forward, to explore, to learn, and to grow. We will meet the future prepared, but we will never bow to fear or intimidation. On the bridge, young officers looked to their commander with quiet admiration. Each understood that they were part of something larger than themselves. They were pioneers, carrying the hopes of their world into the vast unknown. The Titan glided past distant stars, its presence calm yet unyielding. For every species that observed it from afar, the message was clear. Humanity had arrived and they would not be ignored. Their rise was not a rebellion nor a conquest. It was a simple truth. The galaxy was larger than any single council, and it was wide enough for new voices, new ideas, and new strengths. Back in the council chamber, some delegates remained uneasy, still cautious of what might come. Others felt a spark of curiosity and even excitement. A young species had proven its resilience, its ingenuity, and its courage. What could they achieve in centuries to come? Captain Reelan reflected on the encounter as his fleet returned to routine patrols. He knew that humanity's first contact would be remembered for generations. The Council had been startled, even fearful, but they had also learned something important. Strength and determination could come from unexpected places, and sometimes it was the young and untested who could teach the most valuable lessons. The stars stretched on, silent witnesses to the unfolding story of humanity among the stars. The Titan-class warship carried not only humans, but the ideals of perseverance, courage, and hope. Humanity had arrived, and their journey was only beginning. As the Council prepared for future meetings, they understood one thing clearly. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had changed it simply by standing firm, by refusing to bow, and by showing the value of determination and resilience. In the distance, new stars shone, new worlds awaited discovery, and humanity continued its steady path among them. The Titan-class warship glided forward, a silent guardian of a young race destined to leave its mark across the stars. The galaxy had witnessed the beginning of a new era, and every civilization would remember the day humanity stood proud, calm, and unyielding. The Titan was only the first step, but it was enough to show that the future belonged not only to the ancient and powerful, but also to the brave and determined.